There we go. Hello and welcome to Conversations on Being.
How are you? And today we have Veronica Parker with both of us, Rachel Silver and Dr. Helen Gitlovich. So let's talk about
Helen.
being.
Hi, everybody.
You're doing the hand thing. You're doing the wave.
And actually, I'm going to do a little striptease.
Lady, I like it. Veronica, what part of the world are you currently in? Last time when we rescheduled, you were in Mexico. Where are you
I
now?
was in Mexico. Right now, I am in my hometown in New Jersey, USA.
Awesome. So we
Cool.
got East Coast, middle, and sort of over a little bit down.
Yeah. So we're covering kind of like Mid-America and North America.
Yes, we are the world.
And actually, I'm originally from Argentina, so I kind of, sense that that's being brought with me wherever I go.
And actually, I was born in Russia, which is also comes with me.
Yeah, and I guess being Israeli, I was born in Israel. I don't know, being Israel. I was trying to explain this to my mother. I said I don't really belong anywhere, but I feel at ease in most places, and it doesn't matter, where I'm from or where I'm going. I'll find a way. It's like it's a world of wonder and joy. So why not just have some fun and play with it?
Yeah, it's just like the saying, wherever you go, there you be.
That is true. Wherever you go, there you be. And that heads us right into this is Conversations on Being. And the three of us here, we're sort of virgins to being you certified facilitators because we're all pretty dang new, I think, from around about the same time. So tell us, Veronica, what brought you to being a being you certified facilitator? What lit this up in your world?
So for me, it was this book, Being You Changing the World, which is really crazy, okay? Because I've had tons of copies of it, and I've given them to everyone I knew. And I kept one copy, and I had no idea where it was, and I was getting ready to come here this morning and join you on this interview. And I literally picked a bag to carry my laptop to the place where I was going to be doing the call. And guess who was in my bag?
Yay!
So for me, this book, Being You Changing the World, literally changed everything. It was like everything I knew was possible. It was like Dane here was talking to me through the pages of this book. And in that moment, I had already, started taking some access classes. And in that moment, I was like, that is what I desire. This is like my target. This is what I'm going for. I just would love to share this with the whole world. And I was like, what would it take? So I started looking at, and literally, I like became a CF this past March. And it wasn't necessarily because there was anything in it that was drawing me to do it. It was just so that I could become a BNU certified facilitator. And how does it get any better than that? So I'm grateful.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that. I became a CF so that I could be a
Yeah.
That's
and
phenomenal.
And everywhere I had the need to justify it too. I'm willing to let it go completely and see what else is possible with all of it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's one of the. It's not the first book that I got in Access, but I got I guess one of the first. I got it in 2011, shortly after it was released. My copy is not as like pristine as yours. I've marked through it. My dog has chewed a bit of Dane also. It's been a hard copy. Hence, I also have it on my phone. In a Kindle. I've got it on my phone, on my device. I've got the CDs that back when I had the CD player, I could put them in there. Now I've copied the audio book to a pen drive so that I have it to be able to play with more ease. But it was fun, in the days that you could pop the CD in and listen to Dane's voice read the book. But it's on Audible. People can easily get it and enjoy it. And it really, really is life-changing because the book involves you in finding you. It speaks to you with the questions, with the way that it's written. It's like sitting down and having a conversation with a friend. And it's phenomenal what's in there that can get you like right at the moment that you really require that. And you happen to see it and it just shifts everything for you. It has for me. So
it was actually my first book in Access. And Veronica, you said that it changed your life. Can you share a little bit more about how?
Sure.
What changed? What was your...
Yeah.
The biggest gift it gave me was to know that there was nothing wrong with me. That everywhere, I thought there was something wrong with me because I was different, because, maybe other people didn't get me, because I didn't fit in, or because I couldn't necessarily explain with words what I was able to perceive with my awareness. The book showed me that that's just you being you, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that just opened the doors to, okay, so stop stopping myself, or stop trying to define myself based on other people's validations or judgments or whatever that is. And it gave me literally, I think I already had the wings. It just allowed me to open up the wings to soar even more.
To spread them further. I love that. So what okay, so that was for you. How did you stepping into more of you change things around you?
That's a good question. I'm going to say one more thing. So with that, what came for me was also more joy and more ease. And, I'm a mom. I have 3 teenagers and a husband. And just being able to be that space of joy and ease, no matter what was showing up in our world, no matter who came home, pissed off from school. This is when we had school, a real school, and not at home. And just being able to be that space without going, because what I realize is when we don't go into the wrongness of us, we are that space for others to know that there's also nothing wrong with them. And we can completely eliminate judgment and definition out of the equation.
Yeah.
So that's just like one tiny little speck of what this created in my world and in my family's world.
A lot more fun. I know most people haven't gotten that. I got the freedom when I discovered the Access tools. I got the freedom to be a horrible parent according to this reality. I don't have to micromanage my children or tell them exactly what to do at every moment of every day. I ask them questions and I let them choose what's going to create greater for them. And you know what? Sometimes what they choose may not be so yummy for them, but they're the ones who made that choice, and they can choose something different if they'd like a different experience in their life. And there's no judgment required. There's no efforting so much like I was being prior to these tools in my life.
Yeah, the micromanagement. I remember those times. And Veronica, what were you doing before all of this kind of like came into your life? How your life was different?
Mm-hmm. So I've always been a seeker. I've always, looked for different things that, now in hindsight, I can say were going to give me more of me, So I've done, I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, and I've done probably like 15 different trainings before coming to Access. And everything contributed to me being more of me, and to me coming into the space of finding, this book, Being You certification, and everything that came from that. And I don't even know if that's answering your question. I think I'm just going to answer.
No. That's about being you. There is no right and wrong. So
I guess, it's like, so often we go into, it's like the having to define, having to justify, having to explain our choices. And like, what if there is no need for that explanation and that justification, and you can just choose, and you can be you, and you can just totally know that everything is giving you more of you, and it's creating greater.
yeah, thank you. That's marvelous, because it's not about like getting out of pain, like a lot of people are saying that they need to change because they had problems. No, it's about choosing more of you. It's brilliant. And what if it's what's required for everyone, for the planet? Because a lot of times that's what actually needed for the whole universe to be greater, to be that invitation, to be us, to be more, to be kind of like happier, joyful, have more ease.
See, to me, facilitating, when I first chose to be a facilitator, I was going to say way back in the dark ages, but no, they're all my dark ages, I was much more miserable prior to. But for me, first time I went to CF training was literally this, just for me, just for fun. I didn't care if I facilitated a class or not. There was something in it that I knew for me, because what you were saying with the being you, and having these tools and being them, and how it changes the people around you as well. We facilitate in smiling when we're at the grocery store, in filling up the gas in the car. We're being us, and that facilitates the world around us when we're willing to be and not judge and not, get into our headspace, etc. And I love the mix and the vibrancy of the different things that you were choosing, because they brought you here now to have all of that wealth of experience, all of those interactions with people, all of that knowing, and bring access into it, bring access into you, and spread that in the world of daily interactions, and in the world of classes and your podcast. And how does it get even better than that? Are you still a yoga teacher, like actively?
Yes, I am.
Cool.
That's wonderful. And that's your website, right? Live Your Happy Now.
No, that's great. Thank you. Yes, my website is veronicaparker44.com, and my podcast is Live Your Happy Now. So,
that's fun.
So yeah, this whole, energy of joy and happiness. When I launched my podcast a little bit over 2 years ago, it was like this awareness that so often in our life we wait until it's like we have the, again, it's like back to the justification and definition. It's like we wait until something could get better or could change. It could be like, in this reality terms, like fix, until we can be happy, until we can give ourselves permission to be more and to enjoy life and to truly live the life that we know is possible.
Yeah, rather than just start. Just start choosing it now. I love that. So I have a question for you. A lot of times, in some cases, I guess, when when someone recognizes that happiness is a choice and we could begin now, they might not have been like that beforehand. Did you have that experience previously in your life where things did not look so bright and cheerful? And
it's funny because I've always had this sense that I could do anything, and I could change anything even since I was little. And so even when, like big obstacles or challenges would come into my life, there was always like light on the other side. Like I always, it's like this light that's kind of shining on top of me here and there. It's like I always, just knew that was possible. And maybe I didn't always have the tools to know like how to go about it. And that's probably why I also chose so many different trainings, because there's so many different people, and different people like to choose different things for themselves. And, one of my targets has always been to just gift people different ways to get to that space where, wherever they think they are, whether they're stuck or in the middle of a challenge, or they're depressed or they're anxious or whatever's shown up in their life, that too can change if you choose to.
Yeah.
And the light can play with you, because I see the light playing across your face.
I move like skates, and the light is coming through the skylight right here.
But it's really cool because it's a great metaphor as well. It's always there. The light is there, whether we step into the shadows or we step into the light, or we be in this playful space between them. That's up to us. And things are always changing, and things are always choosable. And I love that.
Yeah, and especially it's like we can have both. We don't have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
As you can see, you're half in, half out, and the beauty is in that interplay, not making it serious, not making it so significant. It's just like, okay, cool. Now we have something maybe pleasant, something unpleasant, and it's just whatever experience we came here to have.
Well, one of the things that I love, what you just said, is that when I just put the mantra of access beneath us, where all of life comes with ease, joy, and glory, that whole interplay, and wherever we're weaving, wherever we're moving, when we're willing to allow it to come to us with ease, joy, and glory, it becomes more of a lightening up and more of a play, willing to have that ease.
Yeah, totally. And also, oh, your kid is so cute.
She likes to participate.
And also, since we're talking about being you, for me, a lot of it represents like being you in totality. There are so many times in our life where, we exclude different aspects of ourselves because maybe they weren't accepted by our parents, or maybe it's wrong, to have like killing energy, or to be mean, or to be a bitch, or to be whatever, and it's like, what if you didn't have to exclude any part of you, and you can just be all of you, and then just choose what aspect you play with the light and the darkness of the world.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that, because we are the combination of light and dark. There is no light without the dark, and dark without the light, because darkness is just absence of light. So wherever there is no light, it will be dark. And that's interplay. And again, with like our own darkness, it's just a judgment. What is dark? What is light? Because a lot of things in certain people, you can say, oh, this is good, this is bad. But in reality, there is no right and wrong, good and bad. It's just what is required in the moment. What will create more? What can we choose now that will shift and change this particular situation to the greater? And this is about being all of us, like you said, Veronica. It's about embracing everything, embracing every aspect, not just the good aspect or the light.
Yeah, and the whole spectrum of colors, because even within that, it's like, you could be green and you could be blue and you could be purple and you could be pink. And what else can you be today?
My daughter designed, she loves to draw. She's got an iPad and she loves to draw. And before she would draw all sorts of freeform stuff. Now she's drawing more like faces and icons for her new iOS 14, parent of a teenager. But she made a t-shirt design that we each have in the family. And it has a paintbrush and rainbow colors coming out of it. And it says, color your world with possibilities.
Oh.
And it's any of it. And it all mixes and plays and adds nuances to life that we wouldn't have if we'd be eliminating that color or eliminating that mix or whatever it is. So I love that.
It's true. It's so true. And if I can turn the tables around just for a second, I'm wondering, what have you two been receiving since you started facilitating BNU classes?
I've been having a lot more fun.
And a lot more of stepping into being me and facilitating and stop hiding. We even created, after becoming Being You Facilitator, Rachel and I created that group, Being You Without Hiding, and started doing the conversation on being since we became the facilitators.
One of the things, I mean, I've been a CF, whatever you want to call it. I've been a CF longer because I opened up a Facebook page years ago called the Consciousness Fairy, where I created graphics and all sorts of stuff and became my very own CF because I hadn't actualized the funds or anything to go to certified facilitator training. So I figure I'm just going to do it my way right now. And so I did that. And so I've been playing with being a CF from before. But I became a CF in 2013. And like I said, it was generally just for me. And then I tried to get facilitating right. I tried to do things the right way, the way they're expected, the way that I thought they'd be expected. Or right. And, think you gets it when you gets it. You get what I'm saying? So somewhere over the last like year and a half, there's been this softening, this opening, this willingness to just show up and be myself, come what may, whoever likes it, whoever doesn't like it, whatever. I'm just willing to show up. I'm generally not serious anyway. So for me, facilitating, I oftentimes call it FA-SILLY, silly dash tating, because I play. I like to laugh. I do things in a different way. And I was looking at, and some people would even comment that you're not being serious enough. Like, what is your problem? And now I get, it's not that it's a problem, it's a gift. It's just different than the gift that someone else may have. But I've stopped hiding the gift that I be over the last few months, and especially over the last few months. It's been more than a few months, but with Corona Schmarona, that's been such a, like, I've had to stop traveling and I haven't gone to, physical classes, and I haven't had my monthly bars class and whatever else, I was doing before. But I've shown up and stepped up more than I did previously into just having fun and being myself and showing up being me. And there's been a gift in that beyond words. And I'm really, really grateful.
Wow, that's amazing. And how has your business changed as a result?
Everything's got, well, it's more online.
It's more online now.
Yeah, but it's contributing to so many things in a non-linear way. It's that things are opening up in the strangest of ways. I've been able to choose things that I wouldn't have cognitively allowed myself to necessarily choose before, but they're just kind of dropping in my lap in, like I was saying, the oddest of ways. And I'm so grateful. And
It's
I'm
such a
willing to take steps that I'd never been willing to take before, which is fun too. Go ahead.
Mm.
Sorry.
it is like shifting because, like you said, you were always funny and silly, and I was actually the opposite. I was very significant because being a doctor, you have to be serious. You have to, because people's lives depends on that.
Plus your
And
deity, you know?
yeah, an MD. I never looked at myself as an MD, but still, people's lives depend on me. That's how I
Mm.
looked at the world. And when I became facilitator, which was exactly the same way, people's lives depend on me. So I had to facilitate very serious.
Mm.
And with being you, it started shifting. Well, it started shifting before because I couldn't be serious with access.
Mm.
That's just kind of like takes that significance out of the equation completely.
Right out
Mm.
the window.
Out. And to the point where I would never swear, like I never used bad words before access.
Really?
Before
Mm.
access, ever. I,
Damn.
yeah. And suddenly I found myself almost like channeling Gary and Dane. A lot of times I started using, and one of the kind of like clear things came in when I was in Russia facilitating a body class. And before I left Russia when I was a kid, so I didn't know many bad words. Suddenly,
Poor excuse, my dear. Poor fucking excuse. Just saying.
suddenly I started swearing, and that's what was required. It wasn't. I kind of like went out of being that facilitator, guru, teacher into completely different area, kind of like let's make fun of everything, including me.
Mm.
And with access in general, because I'm new to being you, but I've been facilitating classes for a while, I became, wow, yeah, it's been a while. And 7.5 years almost. And with that, it's kind of like shifted my perspective, not taking myself seriously anymore, which is kind of like so new to me. Well, over the last few years, but I'm talking about before access and with access, becoming
Mm.
facilitator, becoming being you facilitator, becoming body facilitator. And it's all kind of like shifted and changed to creating more fun, more joy, more ease with my body, with my life, and of course with facilitation.
Mm.
So, and I found out that it also translates into other people, kind of like inviting them to that space
Mm.
if they choose, because not everybody chooses that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you guys something as being people with bodies, okay? We all have bodies.
Yeah, we have
As
bodies.
being more yoga and being a medical doctor and a 3-day, well, 3-day body facilitator, you got this stuff. But in terms of you got this interesting point of view, there's always more getting.
There's always
Um,
more.
there's always more. But the thing is, like with medicine, a lot of medicine, and also I would say the same thing with yoga. I remember going to yoga classes, and I did that when I was pregnant, and then I did it a little bit after I was pregnant, and then I've been, I've been more sedentary than necessarily
Mhm.
moving. The thing that I didn't like in yoga class was that at least the ones that I went to, they had this ideal pose that you had to really struggle to get it right versus I tripped on a channel in YouTube. I can't remember the lady's name. Tara something or other, but she was like ease into things. And I was like, oh, this sounds like access mixed with yoga in a way. But the getting it right, because I remember doing, the poses, whatever, and having my friend who was the yoga teacher come in and, no, you're not doing it right. And like pushing my body into a different position. How has that changed, or what has changed, or how are you adding, I guess, the space of being you into the formality, or I know you're no longer a practicing doctor, Helen, but you have that also, where you have to give someone, this is the way it has to be done. So both yoga, at least the misidentified version that I've seen, and in medicine, it's about doing it in a particular way rather than
It's
being.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I never been that, like doing it in a particular way. It was always about what else is possible. It literally was, okay, what can we do here? I never was into only traditional medicine. I would always add nutrition, always add physical therapy, um, anything that would help people, to the point of one of my patients, her boyfriend called me a witch doctor.
I like that.
And part of it was because with nutrition and with physical therapy, I was able to change the old trauma that she had. She pretty much had her back broken 10 years before she started seeing me. And she was walking barely with a walker, mostly in a wheelchair. And with physical therapy, I think over a period of 6 months or a year, she was walking almost normally with just the support of a cane. And her pain was very limited, like very small amount of pain left. And there were people who would come into me, I'm like, I'm not taking any more drugs, just do whatever magic you have.
I love that.
And
Magic, doctor, magic.
Yeah. And it was magical, and some people would choose it and some people wouldn't. And then I would, of course, do the traditional medicine and all that. I also wonder now how much of energy I was using with all of those people, because a lot of times they would tell me that, oh, you put your hand on my knee and the knee stopped hurting. So we all have magic. And it's about being us in any situation. Access consciousness is just a toolbox that opens us up to discovering all those gifts. It doesn't mean we didn't have them before. It doesn't mean that we were not magical before access. Because a lot of people think, oh, access is changed me. It's not. Access or access consciousness or being you classes, they don't change us. They just take away everything that's not us. That is limitations, the boxes, the definitions that we or somebody else puts on us, and allowing us to be all of us, which we were before, especially when kids, but we forgot that, or we suppressed it, or we used them, but not cognitively or not consciously. And this is about choosing more to be us, to be fully every spectrum of the colors, of the possibilities, of everything. Dark and light, good and bad, right and wrong, doesn't matter. And stop being the effect of judgments. Because judgments is the ones that we allow to limit us.
So true. So beautifully said. Thank you for that.
I really like that. And what about you with the yoga and with the...
Yeah, I mean, just like Helen, even before access, The training that I had in Kundalini Yoga and the way that I've always facilitated my classes was from that space of being, from that space, like, and I'm glad that you actually brought this up, Rachel, because there is such a misconception with yoga that you have to have the perfect pose or the perfect body, or you have to be like flexible, whatever. And it's so not about any of that, it's about the union. That's what yoga stands for. It's a union. It's like that oneness, which is what we are being if we allow us to be all of us. So be in that space and allowing people to choose, you want to go fully in the expression of the pose, awesome. And if you don't, that's okay too. It doesn't make you wrong because you can't touch your toes. That's fine.
I remember being at a Shabbaton. It was like a religious weekend getaway that my friend, the rabbi's wife here, was organizing for women. And one of my other friends, she is a yoga instructor, and her daughter is a yoga instructor, but her daughter wasn't there for that weekend. But she was adjusting all of these women who probably have never, ever done yoga before in their lives. And they're there because, it was one of the activities that was there. And she would walk around and adjust our poses and say, no, you got to do it like this. I'm like, just let everybody be into whatever it is that they're being advocates. We couldn't even touch our toes or whatever it was that she was asking. But it isn't about the perfection. It's about that process, the flow, the reaching for that union, rather than the perfection of the end result as the only target. You can get there through the process, but don't diss the process in favor of the end kind of result or whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely.
But I love that, Veronica. I did go to one Kundalini yoga class once. It's where everyone was wearing white.
Mm-hmm.
And is that kind of okay?
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Yeah. So people can wear white if they choose to. Only the teacher is supposed to wear white. That's just part of that tradition.
Everybody else there was wearing white, but
yeah. You were wrong because you weren't wearing white.
JP Sears is this really, really funny, he does satire and comedy and all sorts of stuff on YouTube. And years ago, I saw one of him doing yoga. If Gandhi were doing, I think it was if Gandhi was doing yoga, or I can't remember what it was, but are you spiritual enough? And are you, all of the judgments that go with it, playfully in his case. But there's so many things about getting things right that we miss out on the colors that we were speaking about before, the colors of everything and all the experiences and the joy and the play of discovering.
So true. So true. How does it get any better than this?
How does it get better than this? How did you discover Access, Veronica? In general, not just being you.
I actually found Access. So when I launched my podcast, I started doing research into other podcasts to see, okay, how are other people podcasting? So one of the podcasts that I downloaded was the Access Consciousness podcast with Andrew Gardella, who I totally adore. He's so awesome. So I started listening to our podcast, and every time I listened to it, I would just feel so light and free. And I realized at that time that it had been at least 2 years since I had done any kind of trainings. And during the commercials, they would talk about Access bars. And I was like, oh, why don't I check this out? So that's kind of how I dove into it.
That's so cool. That's amazing. And how long ago was that?
That was not very long ago. It was in January of 2019.
Wow.
You went in for the quickie.
Yeah. I went and I just kept on choosing and choosing and choosing and choosing and choosing. Yeah.
I love that. Has your family seen a big difference in you over the last, whatever it is, been since January 2000, year and a half, I guess.
Yeah, they definitely have. They notice the choices I make are so much lighter because of the trainings that I've been to, the yoga and other things. I would choose like what to eat or what to drink based on what I had judged was like good for me and my body, and with that came a lot of discipline. One of the things about the particular yoga tradition that I train in, it's a lot of discipline comes with it. And again, it's choice though. Okay. So everyone has choice and you don't have to take to that extreme. It's what I chose at that time. But my family, I would wake up, at like 5 a.m. and meditate for like 2 hours and have my practice. And it created a lot for me, but it also put a lot of boxes around who I was being and what I would allow myself to choose and what I wouldn't allow myself to choose. So ever since I started Access, I've, while I still enjoy the yoga and I practice that and I'm grateful for it, I've given myself so much more freedom to really choose in the moment, okay, what would I like to eat? What would I like to drink? What would I like to do today? It's funny because I right after I took my first Access bars, it was like 2 weeks later, the Global Foundation was taking place. And I was like, oh, this looks good. I'm going to take it. And I had like family commitments, so I couldn't go in person. So I did it online. So I'm doing it online. And after like the first 2 hours, I was like, I have to have a Coke because it's like, my body was like, so this is like the funny part. Like, so I have 3 kids, 17, 15, and 13. For their entire lives, they had never seen mom drinking Coke. So they all looked at me like, Mom, are you okay? I was like, yes. They're like, you're drinking Coke. I said, yes. And they're like, ooh, can we have some? I was like, yes, you can. So just, like the Coke and the joy and the ease and the space to choose something different, it's created so much more in my life and my family's life and those who I get to facilitate through classes and trainings.
I love that. I so love that. You have no idea. My son is currently going through this, one of his friends, and this is all online. He met this friend in like physical get-togethers that they would have annually. And my son's been studying in Israel, except through Corona, everything's been shut down. And in Israel, only Israelis go. And so he's had to do things online and from here. But his friend is in Panama, also Zooming all sorts of stuff. And his friend is a new personal trainer, fitness, not guru, because he's, like 20, but he's having a good time exploring and guiding my son into what they consider the right way to eat and the right way to move and the right, let me give you your plan of exercises. And I'm like, did you ask your body how your body would like to move? He's like, Mom. And it's so funny to me because there's such a relaxation when we don't beat ourselves up to try to get the right prescription and the right way for how to live and what to do. And oh my God, and I better get this right. And if I don't do this, it would be the end of the world. And even just as we were getting on the stream and it was echoing so much, and the echoing's been on and off throughout, but I was like, whatever. If it's echoing, we'll fiddle with something. We'll go out and come back in and I'll restart the computer or whatever. But you know what? It doesn't change us showing up and playing and having fun. The having to get anything right, be it food, be it a podcast, be it the stream, be it anything. Fuck it. Just play. And what can you choose now? And what can you add? And what can you enjoy? And I see myself, no, I can't eat that. Oh, I can't drink that sip of wine for kiddush because that's got sugar in it. Like, seriously? So, yeah, I love that you're playing with your body in the invitation to your body and your being to ask what's required here. And you probably saw my daughter in that online foundation. We were in Houston with Helen actually at the time, and she ran up to offer sessions. She had braids going, and
and they actually got her sessions. So.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to see if they're willing to receive it, how much more ease our kids are willing to have when they see us willing to have more ease, more joy, and less trying to get anything right, less of that struggle.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's still a choice, because a lot of times, like I noticed with my daughter, she's more into that ease and joy, and sometimes she is looking for that right way to do things. And every time it's like it shifts and changes now. It's more of easing into the possibilities instead of like pushing into.
Yeah, totally. And also it's showing them what is possible without, like you said, Rachel, without having to shove it down their throat, and also not making them wrong for choosing something different. Like none of my kids do yoga. They're like far. It's like, no, that's what mom does. I'm not doing it. They don't like actively, do like access unless I bribe them to run my bars or pay them to run my bars.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I totally get that they are receiving the consciousness that shows up beyond the tools. So if in the future, at some point, they choose to, like directly use the tool, I just know that they're being it. And I think that's a lot of this conversation. And it's like, are you willing to go beyond that definition or that, like the modality or whatever, and just be that so that you can create something greater for yourself and the world?
Yeah, I love that, because that's exactly what it is. It's not about using the tools, it's about being the tools.
Being them. And what's your favorite tool, Veronica? And I will ask you also, Helen.
Oh,
so just get ready. I'm putting you on the spot, Veronica.
That's like asking me, which was your favorite kid in this 10 seconds?
Okay. You got 3 kids, 3 tools. What you got for us? Or more. I mean, you could adopt many children.
Okay, what is my favorite in this moment? Well, I love interesting point of view. That's like no-brainer all the time. Just changes everything.
Yeah.
With being you, I love asking the question, who would you have to be to change this?
Yes.
I love, like, and I literally ask myself all the time. It's like, okay, who would I, like right before today, like, so today, I think we're going live on this. It's like the equinox, so like in the yoga tradition, it's like a big day for like a portal of like activation and acceleration, and also for the equilibrium that this brings. And I know in Access, we don't do a lot of that, and who cares? Either way, it doesn't really matter. For me, prior to today, there was so much intensity showing up, like so much in my body, in my life, also from all the recent Access classes I've been taking, including an amazing BNU class with Sarah Grandinetti in Mexico. I came back and it was like, I literally didn't know who I was, because all my reference points they were not there. My past wasn't there. I was like, who the hell am I? What am I doing? I am like, I've always been like such a creative person, like literally having like 20, 30 different creations all at once. It's like, I thrive creating. And all of a sudden it's like, I just couldn't create. It was like when I went to like create, like literally create something or follow the energy of something, all I would hear was like, no, not this, not like this. So it was extremely clear that we weren't doing it in whichever ways I've done it before. And at the same time, it wasn't clear, like, okay, what are we doing? How are we going to do? What are we going to do? It was more like, no, we're not doing this. So I literally would ask myself a question all the time. Okay, who would I have to be to change this? Who would I have to be to change this? And then different things would show up, and it wasn't necessarily with words or cognitively that would give me much more ease with the intensity and the changes and the craziness that's been showing up. So that's definitely one of my faves.
I like that one. I like that one. I got it here for everybody to see. I like that one. I totally get that you have no clue who you are. I just had the class with Dr. Dane last weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
You too, right? My
Yeah.
body's been moving so much since, and just like rocking, like I'm connecting to my whatever autistic tendencies or whatever it is, in just the moving and shifting, and no concept, which is actually really cool, because with no concept, no anchor to the past, what can we choose beyond that? What else is available when we don't have to keep holding on to and building off of what was there before? Who else could we be, and what else is possible?
Totally.
And I love that. That's why this is a classic I got from my bars class ages ago. Who am I, and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have? And
yeah,
if I didn't stop myself, like what else could show up? Because I stopped myself by going back to all those reference points. So when I let those go, if I didn't decide that I'm shy, or decide that, things have to be created this way or whatever, what could show up? What would be available? What would be possible? So I love that one too.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite too, but it's damn good. Damn good.
Yeah. I have so many of them, and I think one of my favorites is how does it get any better than that? And what else is possible? Because that's pretty much for me always changes the situation. If it's good, it's improving. If it's not so good, it's kind of like gets a little bit better, a little bit easier. Just together with all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory.
Yeah.
So, what if we are using all of those tools all the time? How much is it changing, not just us, but the world? That's my question to you guys. What do you know? And I know there are days when I forget to use the tools.
Those aren't the yummiest days on the planet, Jen.
No.
Until we remember.
Yeah, but usually
can't take another step.
yeah, usually by like midday, like noon, I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask a couple of questions I normally ask in the morning.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And we're
It's such a gift to really, I'm grateful. I have no idea how I would have lasted with all of these shutdowns, and with so many different people's traumas and dramas and everything that is even around, bombarded in the news. And Guatemala just opened its airport on Friday, for example. It had been literally like shut down. There's no, unless you go overland or sneak across the border somewhere, there's no flying anywhere. So it's really interesting to know that we know, and to know what's true for us in the midst of everything that's been going on the last few months,
yeah.
And I'm so grateful to have these tools, truly beyond words grateful to have these tools.
Yeah, so true. So true.
Yeah. I'm so grateful.
And I'm so grateful for you ladies creating this conversations on being and having me here today. It's been so amazing.
It has been a huge gift. I'd never really, I've seen you online, in Zooms, etc., but I've not ever had the pleasure of having two-on-one, 3-on-one, whatever this is.
Having a threesome together.
Yeah, threesome conversation
together, and it's been such a gift and such a pleasure. I'm very, very grateful, and I'm always grateful to be playing with you, Helen. You know that.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for all of those conversations. Kind of like Rachel, I agree with you. Just meeting you, like in the personal conversation between three of us, it's such a gift to share, to be, and to create together. And what else is possible? And how does it get any better than that? And,
Celebrating brain.
and thank you. And hopefully we'll continue to have those conversations and not necessarily online, hopefully
In
someday
person
in
too. That
person
would be
and
really
have
awesome.
the touch and hugs and be there ourselves for
And we can all
sure.
wear white together and do one of the chants. Oh, oh, oh! I wanted to ask you. Speaking of the chants, that just went back into my brain because it was one of the thoughts that was just firing off earlier. Having a lot of experience meditating and meditating 2 hours a day for probably more than one day. It's probably been
Yes.
a few years. How is that different than a bars session? How does that compare to having your bars run, doing meditations?
Well, they are two different practices that
Right.
can get you to a very similar space of having no thoughts.
I
You
like
know?
it.
So when I finished my first Access Bars class, the class was 2 hours away from my house. The entire ride home, I literally felt like I had been meditating for like 5 days. There was so much more space between the thinking, and I just felt like I could fly. It was just amazing.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's
fantastic.
so nice.
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't know how to like explain it to people who are like, is this like meditation? Well, considering I hadn't done meditation, I was not in a position to tell him, it's like this or it's like that, but it's just the space and the ease of you, like not having the chatter, chatter, chatter. I didn't know if
Totally.
that's what happens after meditation as well.
Yeah, it can. It can happen.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yay.
Thank you so much for coming to
Thank
play with
you.
us. I'm
Thank
so
you so
grateful.
much. Thank you so much, ladies, for having me here. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you.
Thank you.
And how does it get any better than this?
How does it
What
get
else is possible?
Thank you,
Yay.
thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. I appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you
Bye.
for being here.